Hi, this is Alice Wheaton. Thank you for joining me again. Now, we've talked about positive thinking and optimism and paranoia before, and I want to present it to you in an entirely new way. One of the problems with sales and salespeople is that they're always able to feel optimism and positive reinforcement for themselves, but it's difficult for them to feel paranoid. And I think that's because there's so many speakers and so many books talking about the power of positive thinking and the value of optimism and the value of attitude. Well, I want you to know that if you can balance paranoia with optimism, you'll get further in your career than if you can only feel optimistic. Let me give you an example. Recently, I met with a client and he had gone on a tour of a facility with his client and another competition. He came back and he was all pumped up and he said, I know I'm going to get this. And I said, well, what are your metrics? And he said, well, my client asked me more questions and he spent more time looking at me and saying, when I was answering the questions. And I looked up at him and says, did you show up and throw up? Did you give too much information? When he asked you what time it was, did you tell him how the clock was made? And he sheepishly said, probably. And I said, you might not know it, but when you're talking to a client means shut up. I've heard enough. You're boring me. So let's look at the value of paranoia. You see, if it's true that you're going to get that deal, well, yes, you already have. But what if it's maybe? What if it's only 50-50? Then all the optimism in the world won't help you mitigate the risk that 50% will give you. And so what happens is that there's all kinds of other issues that can come to play on your deal and stop it in its tracks. If you are not able to have a paranoid conversation with your client or with your prospect, looking for things that go wrong, then you are at risk. Give you an example. When I was an intensive care nurse, clients would come in after massive accidents or serious traumas, and in intensive care, we did not work to keep the patients alive. We worked to keep them from dying. And that's an entirely different mindset. Consequently, when we as salespeople work to keep the client from dying, as it were, or to keep the client from losing, then we look at all of the other contributing factors that could become between you and the deal. And really, when you do that, then you've got a balanced overview and you have a much bigger chance of preempting any problems that could happen. And also, if your competition doesn't have the guts or the ability to have these really tough but meaningful conversations with their clients, you are the one that's going to stand out as the leader, someone to be reckoned with. And remember, one of the questions to always ask your clients is, what are the 3 conditions that could come between us and working together? Thanks for joining me again today. It's Alice Wheaton, and we'll talk to you next time.